Cristo will be presenting on infrastructure studies. Cristo has been working in many different countries, in Europe, Africa, South America, and of course in India. Among others, he has collaborated with Roger Anger, Doshiji, David, and Stein. Cristo was also the coordinator of the Master Plan 1999.
Vasudeva Kutumbakam. Recently, I read a fantastic book I sent to my dear friend Pashi Kapoor, written by an Indian-American named Rajiv Malhotra. That book, I would like everybody in Auroville, particularly the youth, from wherever they come, to read this book. And this means the whole world as one family. It's a very ancient Sanskrit saying. Very briefly, in this book, it is explained the difference in the way Easterner and Westerner look at realities in the material world. In Europe, people follow always the rules of black and white, the Aristotle principle. I'll make it short. It's not a philosophy lesson. I'm an engineer and a technician. And in the East, including India, we are talking of Dharma. And there are very different contexts to look at the world, and believe me, we should learn from our differences. One of the French philosophers who inspired Chauvinot names was Voltaire. And he's supposed to have said, I do not agree with what you say, but I will defend to the death your right to say it. This is 18th century, and when he meant to the death, they really meant to the death. Noblemen, when they have a difference of opinion, they would just duel, okay, with a sword. I am extremely privileged to address myself to Vashtu Shilpa people. I'm extremely pleased. I hope it's a final decision that Vashtu Shilpa will be involved in the planning of Auroville. I had the privilege to work with Sri Doshiji. I have high regard and a lot of respect for this great man. So this said, I have a short anecdote. When Doshiji visited Auroville, I was asked to receive him and to be present in all. I was in the TDC at that time, in charge of this, that's why I'm here today, in fact, in charge of the planning and development of all infrastructure in Auroville, everything. And then Doshi, during a talk, said, look to me, and he said, look, I think you guys are trying to build a silent city. I'm beaming now. I was beaming when I heard that, literally. Because he was the first person, even among my colleagues, who really understood the purpose of building Auroville as the city the earth need. Not any other cities. That's why I've not spent almost half a century here to build any other city. And I will try to explain that today. So a silent city, those who were lucky enough to listen to Helmut is talking about a plan, mobility plan, which is not a plan, by the way. It is a proposal. It was taken back again by Asia Herb in 2005, and it is titled Proposed Mobility. So based on the proposed mobility, we started working. 1999, when the master plan was completed, and 2015, when I finally crashed, okay, of overworked. So I will refer to this report, particularly the data are interesting. I didn't want to read all the report, we have no time. But I have the documentation. So clearly during the master plan process, who was the client? It's not me, not you. It was the mother. So a deep study of everything the mother said, which now is available in the archives. Mother speaks about Auroville, 2 big volumes, then you know everything you have to know about what this project is, and I believe the planner should read this document first, and go back to the interview of Roger Anger in 1973, that very interview who made a person like me come here and join. There was no other reason, okay? I was not an engineer in those days, but I had still a career behind. Now, the topic is infrastructure. It is necessary that when you look at infrastructure, I'm a generalist, okay? I'm the guy, I was a project manager. I was given entire new city blocks to build and stuff like that. And my job was to, in fact, manage everything. It's about 15 companies and everything. Those were part of the studies, of course, et cetera, et cetera. So when you look at infrastructure, it's not just the road, it's electricity. Antoine is not here. He did a great work. I read his plan, by the way. Very interesting and very good. So rainwater, harvesting, et cetera, et cetera. The matrimonial lake is part of the infrastructure. If it is not just, something to part of some decoration, but if it becomes, as we have been studying already in the 90s with Harald Kraft, I was very privileged also to work with him. It has to be useful. Yeah? So I participated in all those studies since the past 25 years. Clear, everything on infrastructure. And I did a few of those studies myself, or commanded a few of those studies. Now, I read a friend of mine who was here just outside, in an interview given recently, the development of the town was stalled for over 20 years, citing trees, environmental and topographical concern. Alors, with the two parts, first, I agree, but with the topography, I don't. Okay, clearly I don't. And I have based the whole presentation today on this matter. With example only of the Crown Road. I need to say maybe at this stage, yeah, this was written in 1999. The topographic work is absolute priority. This work must be funded without bargaining any longer. You will understand at the conclusion of this talk why I say that in 1999. So complete the topography work and final checking of all level and benchmark. This now is 10 years later, in 2009. I concur with Toby. What Toby told you is correct. I mean, we have all been suffering of the situation Toby has been describing. Let's be very clear. The Crown past history. So almost, that's part of another report, only meant for planners, which is ready, and I will send on request. Almost everybody, at least in Auroville, believes that to build a road or a street is an easy task that can be done by anybody whatsoever. And believe me, I have heard that a lot. Even a banker or a dentist are both my friends. Huh? But is it really so? I'm trying to show you that it is not like that. Okay? Again, 99, I say, for example, we have to count with a crore scale for each kilometer of road. Okay? Correct? That's an aspect nobody wants to talk about. We never had any money. Okay? I was telling just before, I had no intention to say that. But when I was working in TDC, I had to beg, really, literally. I was on minimum maintenance to do this work. I had to beg for 500 rupees to pay petrol to go to work. And I had to use a computer which I had to pay for from my minimal maintenance. That's the condition of work most of us have been facing. You need some devotion to go for this sort of, but no regret. So there is no point wasting time to make costly study if report had to remain in drawers gathering dust for ages. Concur with what Toby told you, no? I guess. Before we start this study, we have to be assured that the funds for the planned infrastructure are available or will be forthcoming in a reasonable span of time, 99. And I made a written note 16 years later, it's from another report. These concerns were about the same. In 2011, there is no provision for parking along road and radials. I am asking question. I've been asked to design the Crown Road. I mean, do the calculation, a serious job, okay? And again, I explained on 2011, there is no clarity on any mobility design yet, only proposals. I was shown this drawing, just as an example, to be honest. This drawing, you see what it is, that's the final. It took me time to discover where it was in the 2000 Part 2 report on mobility, which is a CAD copy of Billinger. Okay? Really zero interest. And then I see something like that. You know, this is, then I do not understand. This, I call it the potato. And I was shown this plan, believe me, I am in TDC in 2009 or 10 by, I can say, it's not here, by Jacques Blou. Okay? Very proud, that's what we are going to do. I say, okay, then I believe, and I still believe, it needs to be a bit of a relook, and we'll see at the end. It's very important. A decision has never been taken regarding the general or zone-wise plinth level of buildings. Do you know that? Ah no, huh? And I made recommendations that today every architect, this was done 2011 when I made this report, should know about this. When you build any blocks, any building, it's preferably in conjunction to the height, final level of the weighing course of a road. And we discovered 2 points. I did only, of all the road you drive today, what I am responsible with excellent architect, because engineer, Dirk Nagelschmidt, I want to mention, very, very brilliant engineer. Because we worked together successfully many years. The plinth level, that's something I guess I have your attention now. Because we discovered in what to modify the weighing course level simply to accommodate the solar kitchen. Imagine the size of the building. You will understand why it was like that. When I did also, I'm responsible for from the roundabout to Mahalakshmi home and beyond. I think the Gaia Park also I did, and even beyond that Kalabul. And the Vikas Radial. Vikas Radial, I'm responsible. We did, Dirk and I did the work. And look at Arati, and I come back. These points are very important. That's your future, I'm talking. Mine is the past. Every building which is built near and close to a road, obviously, that's a basic. Plinth level has to be higher. And you have seen the rain. I was told, oh, this just, no, this rain is going to stay here. That's another matter. And accordingly, the calculation will have to be modified. And basically, Dirk, I know if he's listening, doesn't exactly agree with me because we took already precautions. And then we looked at the central lines, okay? I'm sorry, there's a lot of techniques involved in what I'm saying. So when the first stretch of the crown starts, I am supposed to, I'm in charge of doing this, but some very, very eager people start building the crown road from the solar kitchen, about 30 meters, until Dirk and I intervene, because the crown road is built in this fashion. You see, sorry, I should have written this. This is the west and east, and then this is the same on that side. Matrimondier, everybody recognizes. I could never become an architect. I don't know how to make a drawing, okay? I'm very bad at this. But so we have on the ridge, the watershed, with two slopes, okay? The ridge is about north-south, more or less. So Matrimondier. Then some eager people start building the crown road, and they do it this way, follow the existing terrain. And I tell you right away, because Helmut was so upset, I refused, and in fact, proposed Dirk and I a different drawing. We didn't want this roundabout. Publicly now to the whole world on YouTube, I say I was against the roundabout. And when we say you are against something, you propose something. Obviously, which was far better. And for reason I better not say today, but this was not to happen, and we have to live with a roundabout, which was badly dimensioned, by the way, because even the center had to be redone. So, professionally speaking, I don't take this kind of stuff. I want to make it public. It's not me. Okay? Good. Yeah, that is 2009. It happened when this work starts. And by chance, I have, of course, all the correspondence. We inform the working committee. We don't know where to go. So please stop this madness. Let us finish the study. But curiously, you know, that's something, in 1999, I wrote something like, it's a bit after that, but already there was a hurry to build these things. I mentioned it in this report, which will be available, of course, again. I mentioned it, I say, 99, we must do circular road, we must do this. I'm not against it. Huh? In fact, I have tried to do that very much. So if we had carried on with this, the road would have been flooded. Now they are flooded, but for a different reason, which you are going to mention. Very important again. So the level of road in 2012 will be adjusted because some buildings were already built, say Arati, I mean at the end of Radial, of Vicas Radial, for example. So the level of what the Crown Road is today is what it is, okay? But it's fluctuating. Also, you need to know one thing. Talking of the longitudinal profile, all right? The center of the road. The center of the road, if you want, now I have my wearing course like that, and the road preferably, you know, makes small things, exaggerate. Huh? But there is, for the water flow, is much better solution. It's not a flat surface normally, could be, huh? So that's how we became involved in the design of the Crown Road, because we saw something which was not okay. And you see, I don't know elsewhere. So today, the road itself is built and it's a road. We are still talking of a road. It's about this, okay? We have built 4.50 meters. 4.50 meters only. So what I show you here is supposed to be 7 meters, all right? So I have given in writing that person who was in charge of road service said, all this, of course, in a report and interviews. They, we will do the full width later. The full width won't be paved yet anyway for a long time. And he was correct. And Aurovilian road developer will simply have to add paver blocks on the inside and the outside. He said it's quite possible, and I replied in that, no. It is. But you make a big mess out of it, all right? Because this curb, if it had been, 4.50 meters, a 9-meter road, basically we had done design and maybe even done a double slope. Maybe, I'm not sure. Huh? Speed of vehicle, blah, blah, blah. Parameters to build a road is about, I don't know how many. Huh? So that you need to know, any planners need to know that this, what has been built today, I don't know how much you can keep of it. You may have to redo everything. Maybe not. Let's see. The Crown Road at present. So when we did build this road surface, we of course had to take care of the rainwater. So we did some culverts like this, and then we built percolation ponds. All this was calculated carefully, believe me, the distance between the ponds, etc., etc. When, for example, in the Vicas Radial, you have this situation, it was just the road was built, then monsoon started, and of course, Arati got flooded. We discovered rapidly that their mason had blocked this with cement by. Okay, and then of course they got flooded. So on Monday I went and I did a drive, along the Crown Road, and then the Vicas Radial, and I saw that the whole system has not been maintained. That new buildings that have come up have simply just, and I have seen it happening, and it's easy to check because we still have the files. You can go and check everything I say. It has not been maintained. This also was part of my job to say, look, road service, you need to have a budget for this. You have to maintain those things. Twice a year at least. In Guyane, it was done every week. The grass grows 7 centimeters per day. Okay? And the whole system is made like that on roads. Not inside the city, I'll come to it. And it rains 4 meters. I saw that the fact that the road will have to be realigned to 7 meters is a good opportunity to come to a proper drawing. For me, it's a challenge for engineer. Wow, very happy to hear that. Good work. Our questions now. Is the crown circular? And here starts the sad story, really, in a way. From my point of view, in 2012, all the elements were there to prevent what has happened recently. Could have been easily prevented. But it's not the purpose of this meeting to explain why. I just hint at this. I'm not judging anything. I don't care. I'm always looking at the future and always looking at solutions. That's very clear. That's the only thing I'm interested in. I'm never, in my profession, you will see what follows, we are never for or against something. We are there to help the realization of something in harmony with everybody, listening to everything. There is no pro and cons. There are only people working together to make something happen. That's my way of proposing how to work. So, after the cyclone, one forgot his name, that destroyed about 40% of, 40, someplace more, of the plantation of trees in Auroville. People were quite, there is also context in what happens there. That's why I had not planned to mention this, but briefly, people who planted trees, who had done it for 50 years, they were sad, you see, well, you know. So, cutting a few trees was a very sensible matter at that time. But we had to go on with the Crown Road. That was our job. So we had a meeting because people wanted to, the green people, and I could say I am also a green guy, very, very much, by the way, very much. I have become one, okay? So the discussion is about the circular and the right-of-way. I will come to this right-of-way later. So we are discussing whether we carry on with our road, cutting the trees on both sides, which are necessary for the 16.7 meter. In fact, Toby is correct. Also, I remember him saying that just now in his presentation. It has taken many, many years and intervention of many people. It was not only me, of course. I have been always trying to build a team with others. Cannot do everything. So we try to build a consensus on the right-of-way. I brought, for example, all the norms. I have still there. Everything I could. I brought files from South America to Auroville. Imagine the cost. Of project I've been managing, so we had reference. It was very useful. I had maps, I had calculation, everything, all the, by the way, all the cross-section you see in the master plan is based on material I provided for the small history. And then we had this discussion, for example, with Dirk, because I studied in Germany also and I worked there. There was a small difference, whether to put the cable at this depth, etc., etc., etc. But finally, yes, 16 meters was not so much, and depends where you talk. For example, I really was very much liking the Roger. This is what the road service is now presently asked to do. I got it recently from my friend at the road service, okay? It's not a secret document. That's the Roger section. And the Roger section, I won't discuss today, has many advantages, okay? And I work with him also on this, and a part of it at least. So 16 meters 70 is not a big deal. But there are ways to do the infrastructure maybe better than they are done today. So some compromises are about to be made. Even road service say, let's make some diversion, etc. I say, no. It has to be a circle. It has to be a circle. And why? Because in one of the old versions, there is a tram. And if there is something that you really don't know, if there is something that was uniting the green people and the city planner, it was the tram. You don't know that. Yes, they were in rave even. They had started to make some experiment. They put their money in rails, etc. So I was explaining, I say, at that time, yes, if we want an electric tram, I was hoping it was, for example, the curves cannot be too sharp. It has to be a circle. Depends what you want. Now I'm told maybe no tram. And here a small note. I don't like trams. I would have never advised to build a tram in Auroville, Billinger or not. But, and that's the difference. If the divines tell me there has to be a tram in Auroville, I mean, through the voice of the ignorance, then I will build a tram. That's the point. And then I concluded, it's 2012, 10 years. We didn't cut the trees. I myself had twice almost an accident in this barrier around these two kaya. And I knew it would happen, but it also nearly because of my eyesight, I had problems. I'm not happy still. It's one of the worst meetings I attended in Auroville when this decision was taken. And then I explained, saving these three means we are going to have to cut many other ones. The infrastructure will take a totally different route and we will have to clear it. And then it was taught by Helmut something very important. He says the infrastructures have to be going the shortest way possible. Why? Simply cost. You see, in everything we do, even in Auroville, you have to consider cost. You have to consider long-term cost, like maintenances, like I say. We are unable to maintain even a simple channel, water storm. Sorry, I mean, I am a question. I hope there will be answered soon by someone. 25 years I am asking those questions, and nobody answers. Thank you. What about the land? Again, we are in 99. The most important criteria for opening any road is that the land on which the road is planned is fully owned by Auroville. 99, obvious, it's obvious. At the moment, there are plans to open the Crown Road, as that was there. At the moment, there are plans to open the Crown Road at all costs, despite the fact that some of the land across its path is not in Auroville ownership. I didn't even remember writing those things. By the way, all this report I have dug now in hope someone would maybe listen. I come to the present time in 30 seconds, and I'll make some proposal. The plan calls for circumventing these plots. Obviously, by doing so, the value of this plot will immediately increase. And by the way, the underground cable, HT cable, has circumvented all those plots, adding to the cost. That's clear. That's a fact. I'm sorry. I don't talk fairy here. Hard facts. Now, what type of traffic? Back to Billinger and Helmut. 99. Interestingly, as this report was in progress, that's the one I'm talking, the 99 report is something. The development group received a letter from a resident questioning the implication for Auroville development of the ever-increasing number of four-wheelers owned by Aurovilians. A serious study was made. We hired a student. We made traffic study, which is one thing that, of course, I mentioned for the future. You have now to redo the entire traffic studies, complete. I still have the Excel file. If you want, you'll get it free. So, so the letter started a debate in this community. It was a widely followed debate. So listen, because it will happen again. It's already happening. And again shows that how the matter of choice will influence our decision process in the field of infrastructure. Again, the same. Huh? Technically speaking, if we respect mother visions for Auroville, there should be no polluting vehicle in the township. This would include motorcycles. And I was using one, of course, to do my work. Shall Auroville resist the pressure of the individualistic minded and evolve a policy regarding private ownership of cars, or let it be, and have to design its roads infrastructure to accommodate such traffic? The Billinger report is not on the table when these lines are written. This would mean to design the town with parking space, the good business, I tell you, good business, and build the road to take care of the pollution, the noise, the fume, etc. What of the villagers? How private our roads will be. And now we know. So, now the future. So, we had rather speak of a street, not a road. Really, this vocabulary must change once for all, if we have to come to some meaningful agreement. Okay? We built a street. And by building a street, we invite more compact infrastructure, by the way, and on models which were already, what I'm going to show you, were proposed already, as I say, already in the early 2000s. When I proposed those models, I was told, País Sailé, the usual refrain in Auroville, there is no money, blah, 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 no money, no money. The first 20 or so years I worked in Auroville, I was building houses for people. I was building the school where your kids are today studying, or my grandchildren, born in Auroville, like my daughter. And to my clients, I hate the word in Auroville, I hate it. They wanted always a cheap, oh, put me these tiles, they cost 2 paisales, and then do this cheap paint. I say, yes, but you're going to spend a lot more money in maintenance over the years. I built your house to last a lifetime. Oh, no, do it cheap. And then, of course, I had to come back with my workers and say, okay, thank you very much. In the meantime, the price had increased, something like inflation. This model, when you build a road, a street now, I speak of a street, we have the opportunity to redo the whole thing. Okay, what we can save, we will. And the pavers we can save, by the way. That was one the idea. This is a slope, and then you have a different type of curbs here. And the water will flow. Now, I know immediately what you are going to tell me, yeah, but still, there will be intermediate stages. I come back already. There's always phases in the work. This is always forgotten. 50,000, no, phase, okay? 50 years, 3,500. Planning with phases. So we can keep the same system of channel and percolation pit for the time being, by the way, with this. We simply, on the top, at calculated distance, we have to remove some curves and the water will go. Very simple. Can be done, huh? No big deal, because I expect the thing you have to calculate is this, very important. When heavy rain, that the water does not stay here. But later on, for me, this would be only one phase. When we have little money, let's do that at least. But whichever phase you do in this business, you don't have to reduce everything. Okay, this I never proposed solution like that. So now, wish list. I also wrote the brief, I have to come to this, for the first wastewater treatment plant in Auroville. In 1999, I had already, before I even did the studies, detailed study of all, 99%, I send it to you, by the way, the study of the wastewater treatment plants in Auroville. I could see that they were taking too much space, for example, in the blocks that had to be developed for habitations. And they were not functioning. So I prepared a brief, and in 1999, I had said, I didn't know I would do this, that was one thing that had to be done. And I will insist, I wrote to Tuan recently, I say, the right of way for the underground piping to the wastewater plant and the location of the wastewater plant, which I know where they have to be already. That I can explain, not today. Has to be marked now to avoid a redone of the catastrophic thing that has been done. My brief has not been respected by the engineer that were supposed to do it. And that's a different conversation, but one day, believe me, this will become a fact for the community to know what did happen. Wastewater, usually placed under the road. You save a lot of space, easy. Huh? Normally there is, so far, if someone has different information, there is only one risk for this pipe. There are dimensions for a certain number of people. That work I was been doing was for residential zone 1 and 2, 5,000 people. Of course, for decommissioning the wastewater plant in phases. This was also for 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, etc. This has been also done. Normally, they had done what I wanted. As I said, the Vicas Radial, I was responsible, but due to a phenomena which was linked to the grant from the Ministry of Human Resources. For many years, the roads were built with grants from the Ministry of Human Resources. Until, and rightfully, a CAG, I was still reading the newspaper in those days, there was, you know what I'm talking, huh? The General Accountant of India looked into it, say, why you should do this. So, because of the grant for the Vical Radial came first, we built the road first. And in the meantime, I was preparing the study for the wastewater. And then what finally happened, we built the road and we put the wastewater pipe there, and not even according to my specification. As I say, I will one day show the documentation about this. So first recommendation, and I was told by Tuan there will be no pipes under the Crown Road. I'm sorry, but I know otherwise, because I even sick, I have never stopped working on this plan, even now and for the past 6-7 years. I have never. That's why I'm here today, probably last time. So I was already 10 years ago, as I said, saying, look, I had difficulty to find the exact name. They are called precast concrete ducting for cable and troop. Available in India, India Mart. India Mart, $500 a piece, depending on size, huh? Okay? They manufacture all you want. I would have rather, like the pavers, make sure that also was a proposal was accepted, at least they are manufactured in Auroville. Okay? Cheaper. Can do this. And then you manufacture pavers, they are not doing, they should, and you sell them outside, you make a business. This was also a proposal I made. Economy of construction. So same thing. You make this, you will see Pondy will adopt it. This is an aphorism from Sri Aurobindo, my guru. Aphorism 328. There is nothing small in God's eyes. Let there be nothing small in thine. He bestows as much labor of divine energy on the formation of a shell as on the building of an empire. For thyself, it is greater to be a good shoemaker than a luxurious and incompetent king. So this presentation focus mainly on the Crown Street because I believe it's the focus at the moment. I will make two assertions. They are not assertions, they are facts, which are, of course, as I said, the entire things I've sent is backed by documents I'm extremely willing to share. I would like a relook by whoever is in charge today of a plan made on behalf of FAMC and Working Committee. I was in Livelihood at that time, and that fall on my table. It was part of the problem, and we had to find a solution for the use of all fallow land to be revisited. They were concerned that all this land is, it was encroached and everything. So I will not dispute the merit of this plan. It was calling for planting trees and doing bunding everywhere. At the same time, the right-of-way would have had to be marked for everything. That was the plan. In a letter private to Tuan, again say why right-of-way is right. Huh? I'm sorry, wherever I worked, you have the land, the right-of-way has been marked, there are plots, you know where the streets, the blocks, everything is there. So that's absolutely. And then infrastructure starts. And then the roads. In this order, not the way we are doing it. So it would have many advantages. I have no time to discuss this plan, unfortunately, and it was not the intention, but I mentioned this is a determining factor in what has happened. Definitely, we have the proof. Now, all reports I wrote in 20 years, they call for the same thing. And in fact, the remark I just made called for this. Then you understand why it didn't happen. All reports call for interdisciplinary bodies constituted of any order. TDC, BCC, AVC, alors là, for all those not familiar with this, but those who understand, FMC, Working Committee, and Auroville Foundation. I went so far as to propose many times a twice-yearly conference on development, planning, where everybody was represented, mainly the guys with the money, and the Auroville Foundation as facilitators. Never happened. Sorry, should have happened. And it must happen now. Otherwise, you go nowhere. You keep on fighting with they, or we, or whatever. And what about the village of the region? Or I make something I didn't know I would say today. But I heard Helmut mention how many workers in Auroville when we are 50,000. Then I reminded something I said at the beginning. The mother gave us guidelines how to build this city and how to live in it, etc. And one thing she said, everybody forgot except Paulette, that the city had to be built by the Aurovilian. And only, you can check what I say, huh? Okay? It's written by her. It has been written. We should have built the city with our own hands. And we started. My generation, the pioneer, we just did that. She said we should hire workers only when there were absolutely no other way. Okay? So this explains things. I don't see 50,000 workers in the future of Auroville. But again, this is not a question that the planner have to answer. What type of city? I never was in favor of letting anybody buy a car in Auroville. I have money, I buy a car. What sort of life is this? What message does it send? Again, question, I believe needs to be considered in view of the last sentence. I recommend to rename the Crown Road either as Crown Street, if you want. It's a street. When Helmut tell you, the stretch we built, 200 meters, 3 weeks later, people were begging us, build speed breakers, the kids at night, they drive. Yeah. So you built a circular piece like that, and you have the Formula One of Auroville, like 24 du Mans, yes. And I don't like cars, so particularly the noisy one. Okay? So I would call it a street. Make it a street, make it happen. All right? Transportation of village, I will explain this. This is easy to solve without having them to cross. We can look. I did study for Aroma exactly on that for their new factory. So call it Street of Unity. That would be a great name. That's my proposal. I was waiting for people to Street of Unity. Thank you very much.